I'm Lynn Sumida, president of Mirrors Point, and today I'd like to talk about coaching and the two factors that I think most coaches start with. In my work with coaches and consultants, the two areas that seem the most important are skills and knowledge and motivation. And so they work with their clients to really build up their abilities and their motivation. But I think that there's a third critical factor that comes into play, and that often we don't recognize this factor. And it's the emotional history, or as some people say, the baggage that people bring in to the coaching. Now, this baggage is going to affect both how your client acts and the initiative they take. It's also going to affect how they react to things, whether they're defensive or not, and so on. And often we confuse this factor with motivation. Let me give you some examples of how this factor shows up. People can have in their history failures, whether it's business or relationship failures. Those are going to impact how they behave and how open they are to taking risks. Or maybe you have clients who are afraid of actually standing out, of really being noticed. They call that in Australia the tall poppy syndrome. And when I was teaching and training in there, I'd never heard that. And I said, what do you mean the tall poppy? And they said, well, you know what happens to tall poppies? And I said, actually, I don't. And they said, well, the machine comes along and cuts them right off at the knees. And so people can be very afraid of standing out. And the other thing that's very common, and this one is really crazy, people can actually be afraid of getting what they want. Now that makes no logical sense, and yet I've discovered it absolutely is true for many people. In my work, I've developed a 4-session process that allows me to get at what's underneath, what's stopping a client, what are the fears that are blocking their progress, and then to be able to clear those for the person in their nervous system. Now, this is not therapy. It's not becoming a therapist or anything like that. It's a very structured 4-session process. And let me tell you, between the first and second session, clients are often amazed at what can happen, the results they can get, the progress they can make. In fact, one client from England said, I was gobsmacked at the difference between me at the first session and at the second session. So if you'd like those skills, I'd like to show you how to have them. Of course, you could send clients to me, and that's wonderful. But how much better would it be for you to have these skills to use with client after client so you can take them to their next level and really see the power of your coaching fulfilled?